My Achiever Leader guest has a new book out whose title truly resonates with me. In short, it's called Success Reinvention, something I think many of us need to do in these uncertain and ever-changing times. He's a generational thought leader, as well as being a medical doctor and entrepreneur who is innovating the health industry. He says that your success is always in your control, to invent and reinvent yourself at every stage of your life. Well, I'm up for that. Let's meet Dr. Harvey Castro. Welcome, Harvey.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's a true honor to be here, and thank you again.
I'm so looking forward to talking about reinvention. Gosh, I said in my opening piece that you believe it's within everyone's power to reinvent themselves for success. So what brings you to that thinking, and why the book? What sparked you to write it?
Well, I think it all goes back to my background. I think the reason I firmly believe it's a key to reinvent yourself is because when I look at my background, I say, wow, I grew up in poverty. I grew up with nothing. I grew up here in the United States. We have food stamps. If you don't have money to eat, the government helps and gives you cheese. And growing up, I remember thinking, gosh, I literally have nothing. And I thought to myself, I need to do something. I need to think outside the box. I need to reinvent myself. And this was at an early age. And so literally at age 16, I got my first job and I created my first business, which was selling vitamins to family and friends, which in turn paid for an expensive insurance for my car. I paid for my first car. And I literally realized, man, if I start doing things a little differently and make myself a better person, I can succeed. And so for the rest of my life, I became someone that just kept thinking outside the box, but I always had to reinvent myself. For example, I didn't have money for med school. So I called all the bookstores and said, if you give me free books and let me review them, then I'll review them, give you back the edits for free, but then I get the book free. And literally I was able to get free books that way. And so I've always been thinking, how can I make myself better? How can I do better? And so for me, it was so important to just keep doing better, keep doing things that were standing above and beyond everyone else.
Excellent. Yes, I love that initiative there, Harvey. Brilliant. Now, what are the 3 or 4 top consistent limiters or mistakes that people make that means they elude success?
Yeah. I've done this a long time, and I've actually sat down and thought, why can't people be successful? One of the strongest is I say they don't have a strong why. And what does that mean? Well, having a strong why is the reason you get up in the morning, the reason we're here on a Monday morning working, the reason you're working over the weekend. Having that why, I see it as a fuel. So if you don't have a strong why, meaning what's your purpose? What it is that's you're causing you to work every day? For some, it may be financial gain. For some, it may be moving up that productivity ladder that you're trying to get to. So if you don't have a strong why, that's one limitation. The other is I've met colleagues that are just scared to fail. And that sounds odd from hearing it from a doctor, but doctors don't want to fail. They've worked so hard to get to that level. And so sometimes just the fear of failure will hold them back. They won't take risks. They won't move forward. They're just so worried of failure. So that's another limitation. The other that I've thought of is you don't like change. I don't blame people. They worked really hard. And I'll use me as an example. And people in my industry are doctors. They worked hard, a lot of schooling, a lot of work. And so once they get there and they're told, okay, now it's time to change, a lot of doctors resist change. A lot of professionals resist change because they've worked so hard to get there. And, now with COVID, this is a great example. I've had doctors that tell me, I don't want to do telemedicine because I've never done telemedicine. And I say, well, it's the same thing. You're just using a different media. But they say, no, I don't want this kind of change. And so I worry for those kind of people that if they don't welcome change, then what's going to end up happening is someone else that does want that change will end up taking that position. So don't let that fear of change or not wanting change hold you back. The other one that I think of, and again, I'm going to use doctor experience. I'm an ER doctor, thinking negative. There's so many people that just think negative that won't take that next step. For those people that are starting a new business or going back to school, they just keep thinking negative, like I can't do this and I won't do it. And so if you think about it, people that are positive, that see the other side of this, those are the ones that are successful. If you think of people that that are successful, I challenge you, and I bet you a lot of them are positive thinkers. They see the positivity of things. So these are some examples. I have a full list and examples of all of this on my website. So you're welcome to take a look.
Excellent. Yes. I'm totally with you on that negative thing, Harvey. A few years ago, I was just fed up of everybody was being so negative. It was dragging me down. So I just made the decision and got rid of everybody, wiped them off my database. Probably why I'm called Malcolm No Friends now, but never mind. It worked. I upped my mojo. Yeah. Look, I know you touched upon it, but let's talk more about those early years and how those early years with their obstacles influenced your thinking and your approach to life.
Yes. I look at things so differently than my colleagues. Nothing against my colleagues. I love my colleagues, but I think my growing up changed my views. For example, my mom sent me to South America. She couldn't afford a babysitter in the summer, so I would go to Colombia. And I remember there would be power shortage. There would be no hot water every day. There was never hot water. And so a lot of the things, and then growing up without anything really pushed me as an adult to appreciate what I have. So now that I have a roof and I'm able to eat, I'm very humble by it. And I think that's pushed me to just be very ambitious in a way, but then very humble. And so I think it's important to remember your roots, remember where you came from, remember even your grandparents' roots, because, we all have roots. And sometimes I think people tend to forget. We're so busy with day in, day out that we need to stop and just remember what happened in the past, what caused you to change. So I really look at my beginning as, I actually thank God every day for those beginnings, because I think I'm a better person today. I think it's helped me help others. And I feel like I've been a motivator for other people. So if anything, I think, I know that sounds odd, but I thank God that all these things happened to me, because it's made me a better person.
I'm with you again on that thinking. It's only as I've got a bit older that I've suddenly appreciated that learning in life and how hard it was for my parents to, they didn't have any money to bring myself and my siblings up there. I want to talk more about success reinvention, but before we do that, what are you doing at your company, Trusted Medical, that's so innovative?
When all this happened, I remember sitting at the board level, talking to the board saying, hey, COVID's coming and I don't see this going away. I know there was a lot of talk out there that it'd be gone by the summer, by the end of the year. And I said, we need to think ahead of the curve here, and we need to do things differently. So right away, we started the first mobile testing unit for employees. And so we created a task force that literally was supposed to go to different businesses. And so if you had a business of 100 employees, we would come to your office, to your space, and then we would examine everybody. We would test for COVID, and then we'd be able to say, yes, this person go back to work or not. Or if this person's too sick, we'd bring them to our facilities. And so that's different. I know in the UK, this concept doesn't really exist, and because in most of the United States, this doesn't exist, but we started a very special concierge service for our patients. For example, if God forbid you came into the ER and you were having a headache, depending on your headache, you might need a massage. So we actually would give you a massage in the emergency room. Say you needed to spend the night, or you're having chest pain and we're having to keep you overnight, we would do all the tests, but then we would also make sure that we had all the amenities in the ER. So we would have a change of clothes, toothbrush. Say you had a special dietary needs, we would take care of that. Say you had a pet that you wouldn't stay in the ER because your pet needs to be walked and need to be fed. Well, we have people that will go to your home and walk your dog, feed your pet, give them, we've had an incident that a cat needed medication. So we send someone from our staff to their person's home to give medicine to their cat so that patient could stay with us. The other thing that we do different that I think a lot of places don't is we do amazing follow-up care. And what I mean by that is we'll call the doctor that you may need to see, and we'll say, hey, Mr. Jones needs to be seen tomorrow at 5 o'clock or 3 o'clock. Can you go to that? Or say you're so sick and you don't want to go to the pharmacy, and most of our patients don't, so then we'll have somebody go bring the medicine to our ER for you so that it's already done, or we'll have the medicine delivered to your home. And so these are some examples of things that we do differently, but it's making a huge difference. Patients really love what we're doing. I look at healthcare as there's all this noise of healthcare. People don't like their bills. People don't like dealing with some generic company that you call about your bill and you can't talk to somebody. So we look at all the noise, things that people hate, and we're looking at it and saying, how can we do things differently? So our whole company is designed just to focus on the patient. And so, for example, Billing was a big issue. People don't understand their bill. So we created a whole department and brought billing in-house so that we could spend more time with you as a patient. So these are things that are standing above and beyond. And in a few amount of years, we're now up to 8 emergency rooms, and we will continue to grow.
Wow, I really like that because, from a UK point of view, looking into the USA, we seem to think that it's all about money over there, cost, and obviously gory TV programs. But that is true, great customer care. Let's get back to Success Reinvention. Now, the full title of the book is Success Reinvention. No matter where you are in life or what obstacle you are facing, now is the time to reinvent yourself. I've done that recently, from 90% of my time in the past away from home presenting live business coaching events to now 100% online from my home studio. Is that true in Reinvention, for example? It came out of being forced to do it by COVID. The question I ask myself is, would I have done it without COVID? Is it usually some external happening that forces you to reinvent? Don't get me wrong, I'm very happy doing it this way, but my wife is sick of seeing me around all day, every day.
No, that's an excellent point. I think, honestly, it depends. It depends what's pushing you. For you, obviously, you have something to do. You have to communicate to the world. And you thought about it and you said, the best way I can still do this is using Zoom, using today's technology. Had you gotten there without COVID? May or maybe not. It depends. I think it all goes back to your why and your basic needs. For some, it might be, hey, I need to pay the rent and I need expenses and take care of my family. So I need to do whatever needs to be done. And if the new rule of COVID or this is the new world, then I need to adjust. For me personally, I thought about this and I said, I don't foresee COVID going away anytime soon. I think if anything, now the way of the future is digital. People want to hear podcasts, videocasts, want to see more interactions. And from a business point of view, it makes sense. Instead of you flying out to Houston, the other side of the world, why not do it over Zoom? In fact, I fair to say you can be more efficient now with Zoom. If you can line up all your Zoom meetings instead of having to fly to different parts of the world, if you did it all via Zoom, amazing. And so I personally think, look at your why. What is it that's making you, what's driving you? For you, you're doing this and I applaud you, but for others, they may need another source. It may not be financial gain. It may not be work related. It may be just, they want to give back to society. And so I would say, find whatever it is that makes you excited and that makes you happy, and then use that as a source. For me, with Zoom, I've worked really hard because I feel like this is the future. So I have invested in lighting, a special computer, increasing my bandwidth for my internet, better microphone, different things. This TV screen behind me is specifically because I feel like this is the future. So why not invest in the future?
Totally. I know my why, by the way, Harvey. It's one wife, 2 children, and 4 grandchildren.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Yeah. No, it's costly. You've got to give the why. No, most people vote for change, but then run away from making it happen. A bit like strategies that people create, but 90% are never executed. So what should people do or be thinking about to not waste their reinvention?
Yeah, I think it's important to stay humble and hungry. That's what I say. Stay humble, hungry. Always reinvent yourself. And let's talk about that. For example, I feel like, and I'm going to use my example because I think a lot of people can relate. Doctors, the reason they're doctors is because at an early age, they thought, you know what? One day I will become a physician and I will help others. And I think let's extract that and help others out there. I think it's important to look at your short-term, middle term, and long-term goal. You need to align all 3 goals so that when you make a decision today, it's really a decision for tomorrow and maybe 10 years from now. The problem I see is some individuals make decisions today and don't really think about the middle term goal, or really don't think about the long-term goal. And then later when they're there, they're like, oh my gosh, I wish I had done this a little bit different so that I would be better aligned for tomorrow. So I would remind people, spend time thinking about your goals. Just because you arrive, maybe if you're older, maybe in your 40s, 50s, 60s, that doesn't mean you stop reinventing yourself. It doesn't mean you stop looking at goals. If anything, you continue to make goals. My personal goal is I am better today than I was 6 months ago, than I was a year ago, and for sure 10 years ago. So I'm constantly trying to see how I can improve. I'm the president of 7 ERs. I'm an ER doctor, but I'm also working right now on my MBA. I feel like it's a very important tool that I need. And so in December, I will have an MBA as well.
Wow. Yeah. I just don't know how you fit it all in, but time management is wonderful. Dr. Harvey, we've been chatting for a while here, and I've been remiss in asking you, how do you define success? Surely it can't just be wealth. How do you know when you're successful?
Excellent question. I think to define success, every person sees success differently. For me personally, it's spending time with family. One of the things I define success is, do I have time with family? Have I created such an environment that, yes, I'm busy, but family time is important. Going back as an ER doctor, I was working nights, weekends, holidays. I missed a lot of Christmases, anniversaries, New Year's, special family events because I was working as an ER doctor. Now I look at my success as, can I do other things so that I don't have to work as many hours in the ER? So now my time is free to do others. And so that's one way I'm looking at success. I always say about the rat race. Am I in the rat race, or am I more in control? The second that's very important for me and how I define success is, am I helping others? I went into medicine because I truly love helping people. I truly love seeing them in better health. And so the other success is, what am I doing every day to help others? Part of it is this book, part of it is being a doctor, part of it is being a motivator, but what am I doing? And as long as I'm doing those two things, I define success that way, and I feel like I am successful.
I like that. I really do. Now, before I move on to our final question, Harvey, I just want to remind viewers that behind me on the screen there is the URL to go to see it, Success Reinvention, and also look for those 10 mistakes as well. Really interesting. Harvey, I like to give all my guests 3 wishes. How would you use your 3 wishes to help my viewers and listeners be more successful?
That's a good question. Number one, I think it's important to having the power of encouragement. So I wish everyone to be encouraged, to look at things a little bit different. The second is, I think it's important to identify what those obstacles are. So think of what's holding you back from success. So I wish upon you that you are able to have discernment to see what it is and then be able to act on it. Then the third is, find your why. What is it that gives you energy? What was it that gave you energy when you were in high school and then in college and then throughout life? So look at those things and reanalyze it. And that means you may have to come up with a new why. Maybe today, the why of you pushing you today is way different from what it was 5 years ago, or maybe when you were a teenager. But you need to stop and just analyze, and then use those 3 things that hopefully you have the discernment, you have the energy, and then you move forward, and whatever your dreams are, that you find it.
Excellent. Yeah. My why that I was saying about the children and everything before, and I was being a bit facetious. My real why is I enjoy putting back into the pot, as they say. Dr. Harvey Castro, I have thoroughly enjoyed meeting you. Thank you for the interview.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. This was fun.